Jai Ma. Today we are going to listen to the 30th chapter of Roaring Silence. Beware, they are watching. Once, after a long journey of Tidana, I returned to Haridwar with a hope to get accommodation in any of the ashrams I reached Saptasarovar, but it was in vain. In those days, as I vowed to wear just a piece of gunny bag, none of the ashrams were ready to open doors for me. I have decided to stay either on the Ghat of Ganga or on the veranda of any of the ashrams. I opted to stay on the veranda of Virakta Kutia as I felt it will be a safe and secure place than on the Ghat. Nighttime menace of stray dogs, nighttime Romeos, and fishermen especially used to be at Ghat, even though fishing is prohibited in Ganga in that area. If I stay at Ghat, definitely I will be tempted to oppose them, and definitely there'll be a quarrel. So I thought it to be better to avoid a scene there. It was winter in its peak. I had with me just one blanket only to save my body from that biting winter. Spreading a cloth on the veranda and covering the blanket on body, I tried to sleep in that winter. One night, maybe midnight, one Swamiji came to me and put another kambal on my body. I was not sleeping, so easily I could identify that Swamiji. I knew him from before during my stay in Gangotri. He was a well known scholar in Vedanta and was well known for his selfless service to visiting sadhus in Gangotri. He was staying in Himalayas, either in Gangotri or in Uttarkashi continuously for a long time, not even coming to plains for many years. He changed places only between Uttarkashi and Gangotri and never beyond. However, one may be strong by mind or by body. Only nature has its final say. The living conditions in Gangotri for sadhaks in those days were just bare minimum. Malnutrition is the first thing a sadhak fell victim of. Now, after a long stay, he might have felt the inevitable changes in health and life. So he was back to Haridwar and staying at Virakta Kutia during winter times. I very well remember he helped me a lot during my Purascharana on Sri Vidya Mantra at Gangotri, about which I have narrated in Pyre of the Destined. Next day morning, when I saw him and thanked for the service mindedness of him, and told him I do not need an extra kambal, I can withstand the cold with just one blanket, and I was thinking of returning it to him. But he disagreed and said, the cold is going to increase. One blanket will not be sufficient. He was not ready to take it back and asked me to keep a reserve. I did. Slowly our relation grew deeper. I was wondering on his scholarship and deep contemplation on philosophy subjects. Of course, we had, as usual, difference of opinion in the spiritual subjects, but somewhere in the core of my mind, I liked him, and he was a good friend of mine also. As I used to remain as free bird in my day-to-day life at Saptasarovar without attaching myself to any mandali, a normal custom in Haridwar, whenever a newcomer arrives, they enroll him into some mandali or depending on any ashram authorities. He too was a free bird in his own way of life, but his short temper and arguing nature I never liked. He tried to impose new schools of thought which had no support of scriptures, and I was not ready to buy his thoughts as it is. The sense of free life is often misinterpreted by waywards. Such people in the garb of sadhu may create problems and do damage to the credibility sadhu, and if he has no control in his behavior too, worst a devil. So, it is mostly recommended that either sadhu should be in the company of his group or totally away from the samsara and be in a lonely place without interacting with anyone. Here also the problem came up as he was free with everyone. He used to go to a particular ashram for his daily bhiksha. In spite of all his normal behavior, I noticed in him an oddity that at times he gets himself lost in some unknown thoughts. For a few days I watched, I inquired about this from others also, but I failed to make out anything clear. One day I too went to that ashram for bhiksha along with him. There I noticed a girl in her teens, daughter of the cook in that ashram, was abnormally intimate with her dealings with him. I smelled something rotten. First, I was hesitating to ask anything about it. When I saw a good sadhu with good education going astray, which may be seen as a black spot among the society of sadhus. So finally, the cat came out that she has fallen in love with that Swamiji. She moved around him during his bhiksha or even whenever wherever she met him. She followed him and talked this and that. Of course, he tried to avoid her in vain, and the people around started talking lot of things, putting their own masalas, and started teasing him. When I went little deeper into the subject, I came to know that due to his intelligence, scholarliness, and modern education, he was lured and persuaded to adopt the cult of that girl with luxurious incentives, which was powerful and rich modern religion with political power. Because few of his friends likewise were baptized like this recently, and they became Mahants of some places of worship in Punjab. One day I suggested him that it would be better if he leaves situation for his betterment, if not at least for some time so the rumor mill could die, but he was reluctant to do, preferred to stay back and instead of facing the situation, he started confronting with it. He allowed the situation to be blown out of proportion by the rumor mongers. Few days passed and the situation went so worse. An individual situation was socialized and lot of factors like commercial, cult, inter-ashram issues of various kinds started surfacing. A fierce competition between forces started downcasting each other. And now the issue has become a headache to other sadhus also. Swamiji was looked in a different perspective, and other sadhus started avoiding his presence itself. One day, the news was in the air that the Swami disappeared from Saptasarovar. Nobody knows till date where he had gone. Again, baseless talks started in the society of sadhus. Few said he might have left for Himalayas. Few discussed his appearance in a wrong perspective. But nobody knows till now where he had gone. A story of his suicide to spread in that area, or even few discussed he might be killed by someone. Anyhow, even years past, nothing about his existence is clear. But a good sadhak has gone astray because of little outwardliness. There are very enticing net waved by Maya where flies are caught, elephants tear them. So, in the circle of sadhus, one saying is there, Kile me raho, suhi daha nahi rakna, manke kavo. That is, live in the fortress of sadhus, never try to patch up or mend any friendship or relationship if broken for any reason. If you make any definitive source for your daily needs like bhiksha, etc., live the life on a day to day basis. These are the well tested dictums suggested by the conventional saints. One thing I understood from this episode is a sadhu must be alert in today's modified ways of the world. We sadhus, along with being a sadhak, bear the responsibility of spreading the message of Upanishads as expounded by Bhagavan Shankaracharya. It is the historical evidence that was stupendous work he accomplished to re-establish the real meaning of the Upanishads. The force which misinterpreted the Upanishads had not died. Army of them still exist, and that too in the form of alternative schools of thought. They plan misgivings, play havoc, some modern educated sadhaks come in their trap. They always live in a society, may it be Vedic period or now. The society has thousands and thousands of eyes to see the surface of the issue, but not the play behind the curtain. And they are trained to see an issue in the color of the specs which our person wears, but provided by these elements. So, any action of a sadhu will be analyzed or criticized by the people as per the feedback provided by them and the pre written scripts. So, it is a Herculean task for a sadhu to save him from the pits dug by these elements before accomplishing their Rishiruna of telling the world the reality of Upanishads.
It is the end of chapter 30. There are many elements that disrupt the sadhaks, especially those in monkhood. Primary ones are their own mind, knowledge they think they possess, and their emotional and physical well being. These primary ones are internal, which they cannot escape from, but work with it. Apart from these, there are many external elements, which in many cases can be worked around, and some not. One among them is what we saw in this chapter. Many a times we make the other religion as villains, but when we look closer, these religions are just a spin off from Sanatana Dharma, and the prophet, who was the source of the religion, said the same message as Sanatana Dharma. The prophets are none but another true realized Guru, but outside of Bharat. The main villains are those few people who use religion for their human and materialistic ambitions like power, money, status, etc. But many ignorant common people listen to those few fox in the cloth of lamb and believe their words as complete truth. This is the dangerous combination that leads to all the chaos in the world in the name of religion. One thing we could do is make sure we don't just blindly believe what we are told and being told, and as taught in our Sanatana Dharma, to question and make the right decision based on our conscience and Dharma. Of course, it is not the ones told by Gandhiji, where if someone slaps you on one cheek, show the other cheek. We don't really know the context in which it was said and the real meaning behind those words. That is not the Dharma in our scriptures, and those are words of a freedom fighter. At the same time, it is not like you have to fight with personal vengeance. There is a right balance as we see in Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita. If you enjoyed this video, please do share with your family and friends. Chapter 31 will be released next Sunday. Jai Ma.